handshake, traditions of sportsmanship that represent what's best in college football. The mascots are the flag bearers of the armies of players and fans on each side. And what armies they are, with their war-painted faces and battle cries. But it's the mascots that keep those armies battle-ready, whipping the crowd to a frenzy and giving the media so much to watch for. Welcome to College Football Funnies. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Fowler. Welcome to College Football Funnies. It's been said that football, maybe more than any other sport, is like war. After all, what's the object of this game? To capture territory, to push the enemy back until you've reached your goal. Players, like soldiers, wear uniforms and helmets, and coaches act a little bit like drill sergeants, barking out their orders and motivating their troops. Even the lingo reminds us of war. Long bombs, blitzes, traps, and interceptions. Football is really the toughest sport there is. For instance, how many times have you seen Jack Nicklaus blitzed by Lee Trevino just as he's trying to stroke a crucial putt? No, you don't see that too much. Now, to capture the essence of what this game is all about, we turn to one of its practitioners. Lyle Alzado on ESPN's Lighter Side of Sports describes the mayhem of football.
We curse! Curse!
I was trying to be
Yell,
nice.
scream, maim, hate, ugly. That's football.
Well, Lyle, you seem to have a point. That is football, at least the way it's played today. But was it always this way? Let's go back and take a look at the game a little closer to its roots, all the way back to the Rockne era. The tackling dummies were a bit more basic, that's for sure. They looked like a pair of pants. And so were the calisthenic drills. But the games were just as exciting as they are today, like the 54 Cotton Bowl. Alabama's Tommy Lewis leaps off the sidelines to stop this Rice player, saving a touchdown and creating a blooper for all times. How about the most famous case of misdirection in the history of football? Wrong way Roy Riegels retrieves a fumble, then rockets 60 yards to the end zone. Roy, great play, wrong way. Now back to the future. 1990, Roy Riegels has got nothing on these wrong way runners. In fact, these guys even know they're headed the wrong way. They just can't do anything about it. Referees, of course, are in a position to judge these college football players. Now, sometimes you make the calls, sometimes you're on the receiving end as well. Nowhere do the refs, fans, and players, for that matter, receive more abuse than on the sideline. As you can hear, it gets pretty wild down there. Besides, it's the best place to watch gridiron bowling. The sidelines are also a great place to work on strategy. Take these two players from Miami. They're always working on their X's and O's.
I'll tell you one thing. When Jimmy Johnson gets back and sees that tape, I don't know who those two guys are, Brown and Ellis. I'll guarantee you one thing. I promise you that they will be running at 6 o'clock Monday morning.
A replay reveals why they'll be running. Ellis has 2 circles on the board, and Brown completely misses it. I'd have him up at 5 a.m. Now, sideline interviews are also an institution. We asked this Yaley if he liked his new haircut.
Yeah!
How would you rate it against other Ivy League styles?
Number 1! Yeah!
Sure?
Yeah, number 1!
Really?
Yeah!
Well, enough about hair. Time for some football fundamentals. First, catching, college style. And enough of that? How about some passing? And teamwork. Look at this teamwork. Beautiful, huh? And blocking. That's an air block. Well, let's put it all together in one finely executed play.
Gentlemen, start your engine. Get back now, gentlemen. Get back now, gentlemen. Start your engine. Gentlemen, wait for... Listen to me now. You to the left, start in. You to the right, start in. You in the middle, start in. Hold on, gentlemen.
Every team has a quarterback. On this team, I guess you could say, I'm the quarterback. If I fumble the ball enough times, it could mess up the entire video. But the great thing about what I do is you only get to see my touchdowns. The 63 takes preceding this one, was it really 63? Well, they never occurred as far as you're concerned. College football quarterbacks aren't so lucky. Their mistakes are viewed by 80,000 screaming fanatics, up to 5 million more on TV. Much like a politician, theirs is a very public job. Quarterback is the ultimate skill position. There are just so many difficult feats for a QB, no pun intended. Running backwards from a crouched position is tough, as anyone who's ever had a lawn sprinkler aimed in their face can verify. Throwing may seem elementary, but when you're being chased by guys nicknamed Voodoo and Anthrax, well, it gets a little more complicated. And then sometimes you forget to hold on to the ball. It's kind of scary out there. One thing all quarterbacks have is a powerful arm. Stand by for takeoff. And the good ones have an uncanny knack for finding an open receiver and making things happen. Here's what you call a creative quarterback. And if you're lucky enough to make it to the pros like Steve Young, you're probably lucky enough to pull off 1 or 2 of these during your career. Yeah, he planned it that way, right? Yep, that's the quarterback, and we're out of here. Now, Webster defines fumble as to grope for or handle clumsily. To drop or juggle or fail to play cleanly. Or finally, to make awkward attempts to do or find something. Webster never even saw a football game, but his definitions are right on the mark. Hit, crack, and fumble! Where are you, Q Jackson, when we need you? college football, as in life, things aren't always as they seem. Here, a reverse turns a receiver into a passer, and a partially busted play into a touchdown. Another bit of razzle-dazzle. Next, watch the three blockers behind the line of this fake punt, the infamous Puntruski. This is the old pitch and reverse play. And here, the blocker right in front of the punter receives the snap on a risky trick that even fakes out the cameraman. All of these well-executed gambles led to big gains and a lot of happy fans. And next, the Pitt offense gives us a performance that should have won him an Emmy. One heck of an exciting play. Kind of makes you just want to kick up your heels, party, celebrate. When the NFL outlawed most of the end zone celebrations, college and arena football became the last bastions of the end zone jam. As you've just heard, some messages are verbal, some are physical, and some are musical. Here, 4 Auburn football players prove they can rap off the field as well. Well, maybe not as well.
We came to Tampa to have some fun. We also came here to get a job done. On New Year's Day is the big game. We'll be blowing the minds and showing no shame. At the Hall of Fame is where we'll be with Frank, Wayne, me, and Sweet Tea. So all of y'all, it will be severe to have a Merry Christmas. See, I messed it up. I had it to the end. At the Hall of Fame is where we'll be with Frank, Wayne, me, and Sweet Tea.
All right, we'll get back to you guys later. But first, it's time for Name That Fan, the game show that lets you give nicknames to the crazies who sit near you in stadiums and annoy you so much. From Dartmouth University, name this lean green cheering team. How about the Poison Ivies? Makes you itch just looking at them. Name these painted pom-poms. You guessed the Vincent Van Gogh Goes. You got it. Name this row of rowdies from Penn State University. The correct answer is the Nittany Ninnies. And how about this Boston College fan? We call them Duckheads. What would you call these future flyers from the Air Force Academy? The Wacky Warriors for 10 points. How about this duck mascot, Donald Fowler, my first cousin? And what does the A stand for? Annoying. An informal ESPN poll has found that college football fans remove their clothes 10 times more than their pro counterparts. Sir, does your wife know where you are? And they're 17 times more likely to do anything for attention, including dressing up like clowns, waving their armpits in the air, and making their kids dress up like pigs. And speaking of pigs, what would you call someone who's just proud to be a pig? Well, we don't know either, but we wouldn't call them over for dinner. And as we lose control of our studio audience, we'd like to thank you for watching this edition of Name That Fan. Next, we turn to the kicking game. There are 2 kinds of players involved here, the kickers and the special teams players. And they're quite different in temperament. special teams players are, well, for lack of a better phrase, out of their mind. Rough, tough, reckless. The kickers are usually portrayed as diminutive types who, in the words of the immortal Alex Karras, run around saying, "I kick football." Together, these mismatched marriage partners produce some very special teams play. This has happened to everyone who's tried to line up a kick. You can't get teed off when you're a kicker. You can boot a great one, but if you do, make sure everyone can see it. Is this what they mean by a heads-up play? It's just tough being a kicker. They teach you to kick long, and they tell you to kick short and then fall on the ball. Hey, that's not your job. You don't even have the right kind of helmet for that. Kick returners have their own kind of troubles, like getting started. Everyone knows that kickoff returners are great athletes with lots of courage. No one ever said they're all smart. Safety. The punter's job is easier. Catch the ball and kick it. No, catch the ball. No, pick it up. Pick up the ball and kick it. Oh, well. Good catch. Now, kick it. Kick it. Jeez. Now, this is great. The punt returner follows his blockers up the field and, oops. This is a real rarity in college football. The punter actually hits the Goodyear blimp. The net gain for this punt, 3 yards, which really must have screwed up his average. Most field goal holders are quarterbacks since they have great hands and a natural ability to make something out of nothing. Well, heck, LSU was going to get the ball anyway. And finally, the true meaning of the agony of defeat.
It looks good. Whoa!
It's better to be good than to look good.
And it has been a tough year for Grant Town.
Seth, do you know what you're doing there?
Do I know what I'm doing?
Yes, sir. I mean, where did you...
As I recall, you used to play football, and now you're hosting this show. Do you know what you're doing?
He got you.
Seth Joyner, college major in communications, decided to play pro ball because it's a little safer than being a cameraman. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering how you can make it onto the next College Football Funnies video. So start practicing your bloopers and blunders in high school, like these guys. The center receives blooper credit for this play, but the punter receives all the glory. Timber! These guys are headed for the highlight zone. We'll see more of in a minute. Here are a couple of reverse forward laterals, a very difficult blooper maneuver. Now, what would happen if you united all the high school players in this segment on a college team? You'd have the Columbia University Lions, the worst college team of all time. How bad were the Lions? I'm glad you asked. Statistics alone cannot capture the awfulness of their play, but they're a good place to start. How does 5 winless seasons in a row grab you? From a 31-6 loss to Cornell in 1983, the Lions did not see the winner's circle until they beat Princeton 16-13 in 1988. And we're not talking about losses to Oklahoma or Miami. The Lions play in the Ivy League, a group of teams with high SAT scores and absolutely no top 20 rankings in the last 7 years. 44 losses in a row to the Claytons and Sebastians of the college football world. We found a member of the 1986 Columbia football team who agreed to speak with us on camera under the condition that he remain anonymous.
The most embarrassing thing about it was that we called ourselves the Lions, and we had powder blue uniforms. My girlfriend doesn't even know I played for Columbia.
Why did you play Columbia?
I didn't think I could play anywhere. I couldn't play anywhere else. I got cut from my high school squad 3 years in a row, and it was a private prep school in New Jersey. There were only about 16 guys in my senior class, and I still got cut.
How bad were the Lions? I'm glad you asked. They were so bad that every first down added a day to spring break.
Two kind of people came to Columbia games. There were comics looking for material, and we were up in like northern Manhattan, and a lot of the homeless would drift in when the gates opened. The head coach was a very nice lady. It made the halftime talks difficult because she wasn't allowed in the locker room. It would have been good if there was a little more discipline. I mean, practice was optional.
How bad were the Lions? I'm glad you asked. A successful field goal paid each team member's tuition for a whole semester. And a touchdown was worth 2 campus parades and lifetime exemption from ever having to attend another Columbia game.
The most embarrassing thing about it, one was when the Gatorade company contacted the school and made us cover up their logo on the side of our water jugs. The other one was when we got hit for a 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike ability.
How bad were the Lions? I'm glad you asked. So, after 25 minutes of mayhem, mess-ups, and malpractice, you think you've seen it all. Impossible. This video has to be 30 minutes. We're only 25 minutes into it. So what you're about to see are more bloopers that didn't fit in anywhere else. So we just decided to stick it all together in this section. Just kidding. These are our bloopers supreme, from California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, end zone to end zone, and sideline to sideline, which is where this coach should be. Coach, you're going to get a penalty if you stay out there. You got a penalty. And speaking of penalties, Miami's Bernard Clark draws one for roughing up Florida State's Dexter Carter. Now, Dexter isn't too fond of the treatment he's receiving, so he tells Bernard about it in his own special way. And draws a penalty of his very own. That's a face only a coach could love. That's why playing the Panthers is sometimes the pits. These are a bunch of pass plays using the new spring-loaded ball. Back to Notre Dame, Pittsburgh. Those Panthers are really a difficult bunch. Guess you can't blame that player. Sometimes it's a lot safer on the field than off it. This is an equipment manager's worst nightmare. You know how long it took him to fill those cups? Here, a pedestrian gets nailed on the sidelines, then pretends it didn't hurt. Yeah, right. And here, a TV camera that gets excellent reception. Which is a little more than we can say for this young majorette. Hey, those batons are a lot tougher to hold on to than footballs. Of course, there's always some clown that tries to contradict the host. Yeah, serves you right. This block kick confuses the camera and then all the players who try to pick up the ball afterwards. And now, finally, some plays worthy of celebration.
You are now entering another dimension where sights and sounds boggle the mind. You are now entering the highlight zone. Submit for your approval a spiraling projectile moving through space into the outstretched ends of this minute. Impossible, you say? Not in the highlight zone. Submit for your perusal a rounded object finding its destination as if a magnetic force were guiding it. Submit for your enjoyment the beauty and athleticism of this man. The defiance of gravity brings him to the highlight zone. Submit for your wonderment the rare leaping ability and dexterity of this helmeted inhabitant of the gridiron. Is it possible? Yes, but only in the highlight zone. Submit for your bemusement a play diagrammed and executed in a land known as, how did you guess, the highlight zone. Submit for your appeasement the balance and awareness of this man carved in white with red numerals. Submit for your attainment a sleight of hand maneuver characteristic of an aggressive species. Amazing? Yes. Improbable? Yes. Impossible? Not in the highlight zone. And finally, submit for your infestation this outright attempt at thievery.
Gary Brown steals it. Gary Brown steals it. And Penn State will win it.
Unusual? Yes. Audacious? Yes. Mesmerizing? Yes. Impossible? No. Not in the highlight zone.
Now you can tell all your friends you've seen it all. You've seen Wrong Way Roy, kamikaze kickers, rapping rowdies. Hey, speaking of those rapping rowdies, we just can't leave without saluting the boys from Auburn one more time. This is Chris Fowler saying, see ya. Hope you enjoyed the video.
Take it away, fellas.
We came to Tampa to have some fun, but we also came here to get a job done. On New Year's Day is the big game. We'll be blowing their minds and showing no shame. At the Hall of Fame is where we'll be with Frank, Wayne, and me and Sweet Tea. As you can see, it will be severe, but we'd like to wish you all a Happy New Year.
At Busch Gardens with the Auburn Tigers, I'm Roger Manus, Newswatch 3 Sports.
We got it!